a meditation called Where Next. He can't be that age already. It seems like only days ago he was a babe in arms. That's what lots of folks said. And they were right, of course. 12 years can go past in a flash. And as a friend of Joseph and Mary, I've watched him grow. There was gossip, of course there was, in the early years, scathing tongues, wagging fingers about the birth, and then the sudden trip to Egypt. But that was 12 years ago now, and he's become a fine young man. A little serious, perhaps, at times. Or when he's pondering something, his brow furrows up, and you wonder what's going on in that agile mind of his. But then at other times, full of fun, life at the party. And then there was a visit to Jerusalem for the Passover. He was 12, as I remember it, and the journey there went off without a hitch. There were a good number of us who went, a community event, Nazareth to Jerusalem, fun for all the family. Men at the back of the group and women and children right at the front. A real procession. It was on the journey back that everything went wrong. The women and children travelled more slowly, so they moved off first, and the men started out later and caught up at camp in the evening. We'd assumed that Jesus was with Mary. Of course, it turned out that she'd assumed that he'd stayed behind with us. There was plenty of children running around laughing and playing, and Jesus was of an age where he could have been travelling at either end of the large party. At the end of the day, we discovered he hadn't been with either group. There was much frantic calling out and questioning of everyone. Oh, was he with you? Have you seen him? Oh, both Mary and Joseph were at their wits' ends and decided to go back to the city, assuming that was the only place he could be. They found him, I heard later, after a desperate search. There was much scolding and hugging and tears. What do you think you were doing? Why didn't you tell us? We've been frantic with worry. Oh, let me hold you and give you a big kiss. But it seems Jesus took the whole thing in his stride. Wouldn't you know, he'd been sat there in the temple chatting about the finer points of theology with the rabbis. Well, hardly my idea of a good time, but it takes all sorts. There is something going on there. He's growing, developing in ways that I don't understand. You look at him sometimes and you think, what's going on in that head of yours? Where next? Who knows? He's one to watch. And I'll tell you this, I think we're only just beginning to get a glimpse of what the future holds.